All right, hello, and thanks very much for checking out a bit of What Was That Radio's A Conversation with Kim Churchill. This gentleman I have known for over a decade now. He's become one of my dear friends. It's like time hasn't passed when we're back together. I mean, it was 4 years since we saw each other last before this conversation. And it felt like days. I think he is one of the most grounded, kind, and wonderful human specimens on this planet. Further, one of the most talented, nay, world-class guitar players and singer-songwriters on this planet as well. If you're new to What Was That Radio, it is a place to dive in and discover pure modern rock. I'm talking over 5,000 bands that have released songs since 2017. That's the oldest we go back. And oldest or furthest, both apply. First time we've used a rim shot in this intro today. And predominantly 90% of the playlist is from 2020 onwards. I worked at commercial rock radio for a decade. I left to push my passions to their limit. And that's something that I lean on Kim a lot with. His bravery. About the way he goes about creating music, showcasing his music, and living life on this planet we have called Earth. We have as a collection of human beings. I appreciate your time. Here's a conversation with Kim Churchill. I should also mention, recorded at the old Capital Ballroom in Victoria, BC, in Canada, ahead of his sold-out show later that evening. Thanks for being here. Hello. All right.
Hello. Testing. 1, 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that stuff in the shot? Do you want to clear the table? No, it's not. Yeah. Keeping it real.
Have you ever done an interview on the same couch where you're side by side? Because I was just thinking, how do we even start? Because usually it's just me the last couple of years sat behind a webcam.
Yeah.
Or it used to be...
I liked this as a start.
Yeah.
I think we're up and running.
Yeah. But have you done interviews like that? How do we get, I might take my shoes off because you've done yours.
Yeah, go on.
It's
Barefoot Bandits.
Yeah.
Middle of summer.
I don't know if
Canada's
you're ready.
heat wave.
I'll do the bare feet, but this is going to stink.
Oh, yeah. You didn't get the tattoo that far down your foot for nothing.
Yeah, one of the first. Yeah. No, I don't think... Because usually... When I was at the Zone, we were in the studio and there was a good 10 feet difference. Not that I'm intimidated by being within 2 feet of you at all.
I'm not heaps intimidating, hey?
I wouldn't...
Maybe.
No,
maybe.
Not really. No, you're just too gentle. Your energy is like this sort of, as if Mona Lisa was a real or human just drifting down the road. I don't know why I said Mona Lisa. I meant to say Mother Teresa.
Ooh,
right?
As if like both.
Yeah,
maybe.
just this energy. I was going to say to these two, Harley and Jody here in the room, Jody on this camera, Harley over there playing some Nintendo Switch and making sure that the wide shot on the iPhone is good.
Yeah, he's nailing that one.
But I was going to say... Yeah, looking good?
Yeah.
I was going to say, we're getting the Harley seal of approval there. I was going to say to them that, you're just this sort of almost angelic. You're just so warm and wonderful and kind and so ridiculously talented that you would just feel you coming, especially in a downtown energy where it's hot and there's a lot of very aggressive energy. And then there's this sort of Kim Churchill that just appears.
Oh, that's nice of you. Thank you. Yeah, but I definitely... I'd be impressed by myself if I intimidated somebody.
Have you ever tried to be angry since we've known each other, the decade or so?
Yeah, I did this one time actually in Sri Lanka. They were the street dogs. They get pretty wild. Like they get all up in your zone. They're all up around you and they're fighting on top of you and they kind of use you as a barricade for the other street dogs. They just get all around you and it's...
You just laid on the street in Sri Lanka the whole time you were there? I don't understand how they're fighting on top of you.
This is like in a restaurant. The street dogs would run through the place. And so I tried to yell at them in an angry way and nothing. I was like, "Oi!" kind of thing. And nothing happened. They did nothing. My girlfriend at the time laughed at me and a couple that were on a table nearby laughed at me as well.
That's very supportive of them. I'm going to put that there to monitor you because just if I don't mean to already do this, but just if you could keep that mic. I know that
closer
you
or
just
further.
sit and you've got everything on. You haven't got to worry about it when you're doing whatever. But for this one,
yes.
Test.
Okay, that's you. This is me.
Say test.
Test.
Test. Okay, sweet, we're good.
Test.
Don't overdo it. So with Sri Lanka, when were you in Sri Lanka? Was this before the pandemic, clearly?
Yeah. Well before. Yeah, I went on a trip there, maybe 2016 or something. Oh, desperately want to go back.
Yeah, I went to India. Have we spoken about this before when I went to India? Do you know the Kumbh Mela? So the Kumbh Mela supposedly, and I might be remembering this wrong, so no offense to anyone, but every 120 years, the moon and earth and Saturn align in a way that the Sarasvati joins the Ganges rivers. And so then they believe, people that follow that religion and culture, etc. Again, I mean, Google's probably got more refined answers than me, but
always
was always to an extent, depending how you search it. If you use plus or minuses, be very wary of that. But it was, it's where like 55 million people pilgrimage to, and they believe that usually with the Kumbh Mela, it's a case of you would wash yourself, you would dip your whole body 3 times in order to relinquish 1,000 years of sins. I this might be wrong, or it's for you and 2 generations above you or below. So it'd be like my parents and grandparents. If my grandparents aren't here, it'd be parents and maybe.
You do it for them too.
You just do it for love and do it for. But then also they believe, if I'm correct in thinking, but this might be wrong again, completely utterly wrong. This is about 8 or 9 years ago. That if you then drink when the Sarasvati joins the Ganges, that you're drinking the divine nectar of immortality. You're guaranteeing 1,000 rebirths and relives with your butterflies or lions. I was saying this to you a few days ago. Do you remember? So I had gone on this crazy intensive
pilgrimage,
like warrior sage challenge in a Burnaby gym years ago. To try and get over the horrible things happened to me as a kid with the abuse, and I used to cry a lot when it rained due to nearly drowning in that same incident when I was 10 years old. And I just felt like this person, I want to follow this person to India, because I had never had any interest whatsoever in going to that part of the world.
What a trip.
And so it was almost Kim Churchill inspired, in the sense of there was very little sleeping on anything that was normal.
Yeah.
You were into your campers and your Airstreams and the floor in Sri Lanka restaurants, it seems. So
wow. Did you get used to it? Like just the mat on the floor kind of thing?
Yeah, we had a bit of hay. But I mean, there were nights where you were in a tent or a nicer tent, or there was, I think, one night at the start and the end of the trip where it was like a hotel to make sure that you could sort of chill. So it wasn't a complete. But I had, long story short, because I could speak about that trip and we'd run out of time before you sound check.
Yeah, I was getting into that. Did you wash in the river?
I didn't, because I felt that it would be disrespectful, because I,
Yep.
as you can tell from the way I've described it the last 5 minutes, don't really know too much about
the religious side of things.
Desperately reading books on the airplane over to familiarise myself with a culture that, other than my love of cricket, I didn't know anything else really about. So I felt that it would have been rude if this Westerner just showed up. However, the attitude towards me for being there, maybe in the week that we were in the main Kumbh Mela, in and around Varanasi, which is a very, very spiritual and magical, unbelievable spot on the planet, I saw maybe 50 white people. And so the attitude of the people would be, why are you here? How did you get here? We're so excited you're here. Like, let's talk. A lot of people with my tattoos at the time, which have grown since, people would come up to me and spit on their hand and rub on my arm, or the mustache was hugely popular with kids on the street to get pictures and whatnot. But I just found it to be so, incredibly bustling and busy. But for me, there was just some strange moments where, we'll have to talk about this another time when we've got more time, because I've got like 100 stories. But for me, it just felt like I could walk through, maybe it was because I was used to being in London, England and stuff, but I could just walk through this literally 100,000 people and feel like you had all the space to breathe. It didn't feel overcrowded, even though you could see it was clearly overcrowded. But
there was a bit of synergy between everybody. I noticed that in Tokyo.
Right. Yeah, let's throw back to you, because it's hard to sum up that 3-week trip in a few minutes when I want the focus to be on you. Because tell me more about these travels, because let's maybe, if we're diving into travels before the pandemic, and then how important this trip's been for you so far. So that'll be a good counterpoint to it.
Yeah, well, I think my last trip overseas was Canada. And I came over here and I toured, and I had a wonderful time. And I played gigs, right across BC all the way to Quebec. And then I got back to Sydney with about an hour before I went on stage with my friend, this artist named Ziggy Alberts, he has blown up.
Yes.
Similar thing, blonde dude, acoustic guitar.
Damn it.
But no, I was really happy for him to be the one that blew up in that regard, because he was good for it. I don't know if I would have had the I don't know if my style of art would have been conducive to such massive things. Who knows? Maybe I'll have a shot at that later when I've grown into a different person. But it really suited him, and I like doing smaller stuff. And I was so proud of him, and he'd just done so amazingly well. But he had me as his opening act. So I like walked into one of the biggest venues in Sydney, you know, like 10,000 people. An hour before I went on, and I had arrived back in the country an hour before I went on, just made it in time. And then it was cool because actually when I was in Sydney playing that show, I met up with one of my good friends who has a business building camper vans, or the interior of
I saw this
vans.
on Instagram. Give us an inside scoop.
So we sat down. It was the night after the Sydney show, and I'd been selling vinyl at my vinyl, my own music at my gigs all across Canada, making money, and I was hoping to build the interior of a van. And he was like, "Hey, let's put a stage in the side." So a stage slides out of the side and it's like underneath your bed. And I was like, that sounds so cool. And I had all these exciting ideas about having like a solar powered PA system that I could then be completely off the grid. And we did it. And it was amazing because we got everything set up. I worked with Yamaha on this solar powered system. I started booking gigs in national parks down by rivers and, you know, kind of caravan parks and all kinds of really interesting camping grounds and stuff. And then COVID hit. And all of a sudden, the only gigs that you could possibly even consider doing were like outdoors where everybody's very spread out, very small, completely off the grid, where no police or, you know, legal situations are going to arise. And so, you know, I had to lock down for a fair bit as well. But I spent most of COVID like going to all these really cute little nooks and crannies of the country and playing for like 30 people in a massive paddock and stuff out of this camper van. And it was amazing. It changed my life. It revolutionized. And even what I was saying about, you know, my friend Ziggy blowing up and me feeling like that wasn't my path is because that playing off the camper van to 30 people, really that felt like my path. I felt happiest and the most myself. And so that's what I've been doing. And then finally things have opened back up and I've managed to get back to Canada, and once again I'm kind of selling my vinyl and gratitude journals and hoping to make enough cash to build a version of that here as well.
What's a gratitude journal?
Oh, it's it's a
We've
journal.
Got to buy some before we go.
I'll give you one.
No, we've got to buy it.
We'll argue later.
Well, we're growing. I'm growing what was that, and you're growing Kim Churchill's. You know, this is so cool because we've been talking for the last few months about trying to plan how can we maybe tiny home it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not a surprise to everyone that the cost of living is through the roof that you can't afford to have.
Yeah.
So, if I could put it so lightly.
That's
so
amazing.
I just came up with that one right now. It's not bad. Camera 2, iPhone, Harley. It is so sweaty in here, but maybe that's where it came from. It's the sweat gods that gave me that joke. But we've been looking at, okay, how can we get maybe a mini home? How can we solar power? How can we try and be off the grid? I mean, I don't know, you know Cake, the band Cake?
Yeah.
The record showroom of Compassion.
Yeah.
They built a studio in California, and one of the first bands to incorporate solar panels into that. And they ended up powering and recording the entire album off the back of the money they made from making so much power on the solar panels, they sold it back to the grid.
That's amazing.
So they self-funded their album.
Oh, I love that.
So like that's a story that I told when I was on The Zone for years because I just think it's so cool. So
it
the
is,
fact that I didn't know that you had, maybe I forgot them because I know that we spoke a little bit here and over Instagram. I was like, this van is looking really cool. So it's so special. Anyway, I feel like I went off on a side point.
No, that was awesome. And you were going to talk about your guys' thoughts around moving into a tiny home or doing something.
Well, yeah,
like that.
like that's what we're looking at right now is how can we do that and how can we build. You know, we're both big purgers of things of the past. And that's not to say that you are negatively looking back on anything. It's just that it had a role to play.
Yeah.
As long as you've learned and grown from it, whether it's an item or a memory, you can release it.
Move forward. Yeah, I feel like we all we try to carry so much around with us, you know?
Yeah.
Physical stuff, emotional stuff, and it's all linked. I feel like we've all just got this big sack on a stick that we're carrying around, and you start taking out physical things and emotional things go with it, and it's lovely. I always love having a big kind of clean out, just getting rid of a bunch of surfboards.
But I mean, your clean out is a van. This is what blows my mind about how I try and soak up and learn from you each time I see you, is because I am not comfortable with the fact of complete like what you do. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could. I mean, because I didn't even camp in the tent that night that we stayed at. Harley wanted to camp in the tent when he was at his grandparents in Okanagan a few weeks ago, and I stayed inside.
Yeah.
I was like, one night,
right
have a great night. Look after the bears and cougars. There won't be any, John. Look after the bears and cougars. I stayed in. So I don't know. And with the hot weather like this, I just complained about it being sweaty in here. Like, I'm quintessentially English to the extent that I might have been a Cub Scout as a kid, but there's a reason why I'm not a Cub Scout as an adult. Right? So, I mean, you probably get in trouble if you just showed up still with the... Jodie still fits her Cub Scout outfit. Side note, we found that in the closet.
Not bad. That's quite impressive.
Back there.
Yeah.
Lots of badges. Lots of badges. I think I got like the soccer one because I spoke about it, couldn't play it. And I think I got like I don't know if there was a verbal diarrhea badge back then, but I definitely got something like that.
Yeah, some kind of verbal one. I can see you having that.
And then
for sure.
I did like the activity night, like an egg and spoon race, and then peace out with my second place. I quit the Cub Scouts. That was it.
Yeah. I think I got kicked out of Cub Scouts.
Now, this is interesting. The man who can't get angry or scare Sri Lankan dogs.
Yeah.
How did you get kicked out of that?
Yeah, no, I especially as a kid, I had a real problem with authority. Hey, I was very naughty. Okay. I was a very naughty boy. And I think I really started butting heads with this one guy that worked there. And we just did not get along, and I would always do naughty stuff, and he'd get more and more angry at me. And I think one day he like picked me up and shook me or something.
Well,
and he got fired,
extremely
and
naughty.
I got kicked out.
Wow. Isn't that funny how the adult makes a mistake, is a complete asshole, and then it's your fault?
Well, to be fair, I think I was being very, very, what's the word, like, annoying.
Right.
Are
you failing to mention that you stood there and said, go on, and what are you going to do, pick me up and shake me like a bag of potatoes? Like, what did you...
I don't know.
That was a terrible Australian impression.
No, you know what I was doing, actually? I had run off... my hometown, Merimbula, is very tidal. So when the tide's down, there's just hundreds and hundreds of meters of sand. But then it comes up and the whole thing, similar to England, like when the tide comes up.
It's a very generous English tip of the hat to beaches.
Yeah. And I think I'd run down the sand. He was trying to look after everybody, and I'd run down the sand, and the tide was coming in, and he was like, you've got to come back. And he was calling me to come back. And I was ignoring him and like playing with the crab or something, and he was worried for my safety, but you can't shake it.
I'm worried for your safety, and now I'm going to physically assault.
I'm going to but yeah, gotta have
what the crab feels like. Okay.
But yeah, I haven't thought about that in probably 20 years, but
that's bonkers.
Yeah, and I didn't get many badges either.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I presume that's what you're saying before. Is
yeah, we were on badges.
Got a couple of badges.
No,
yeah.
That's the key to a great catch-up conversation, is when you can't actually cling on to the last point you discussed or made.
Because you got so much to talk about.
It's like when we were planning this, it's like, do we have 15 minutes? I'm like, 15 minutes? I don't think we're even going to touch on anything. It's just going to be shooting the shit about like, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
But back to my point, though, I do recall in the sense of how effortless. When did you know that you just wanted to be on the road all the time? I mean, that's how we met.
Yeah.
And we follow you online, and I think there's a difference with some people you follow online where you see a perception of the reality.
Yeah.
This is a big thing that I've mentioned multiple times in the last few years, is perception versus reality. But I feel like when people might be, I say we, because if anyone's watching this, they know who you are, and you might have posted it and they're here. Thanks for checking out whatwasthatradio.com. We see someone that actually is living the life that you want to live.
Yeah.
And there's not some frill or fake bullshit around it.
Yeah.
So has it always been that you just knew that you wanted to just live out of a van or travel as much as possible, or did you grow into the idea and now you're like, you can't think of anything opposite, anything different to that?
I always wanted to do it. It was my last couple of years of high school that I started building the idea, because I was working in a kitchen and I went out one morning and I busked at the farmer's market, and I made $45 in an hour playing old Bob Dylan songs and stuff. And I was like, there is no way I'm going back to washing dishes for $8 an hour. There's no need. I can just do this forever. Yeah. And I was like, I really wanted to get a camper van and have my surfboards in there. And even from that time, it seemed like the ultimate dream. And then I started doing it, and it's really liberating. It's to be able to just pull over and sleep wherever you want, to not have to think about where you're going to go that night, to not have to stay with friends, to just be on your own schedule and see your friends when you want to. And it's really freeing and really liberating. And it's always really worked for me. It's always like playing music. I play the gig. Often I'll drive after the gig for an hour or two and just be on the highway at 1 a.m, kind of like winding down, listening to some music. And then I'll just pull over on the side of the road somewhere and sleep and keep going. And for some reason, even when we were building the stage in the back of the camper van, I was so excited and inspired by the idea that I would be sleeping on my stage. That just seemed
pretty cool.
Yeah, I was just like, that is all I've ever wanted.
It was your proverbial home until you made it your physical home.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny because one of the things I realized early on with Instagram was that I enjoyed it a lot more when I wasn't trying to give some kind of fabricated version of what I was doing. For sure, I get more excited about posting, my swim at a river than I do about sitting at a Tim Hortons waiting for a bagel in the morning or something. You know what I mean? So there's still a bit of selectiveness about it, but I just realized, like, keep it funny, keep it fun, keep it real, and post the stuff that I really enjoy doing. And so I have tried like that to, don't worry how I look, don't worry what I sound like, post, don't think. That's been my thing, is like, don't think about it, don't judge myself, don't start questioning whether it's this or that, just post it, because in that moment, you probably find this with radio and interviews and all that kind of stuff, like, you just got to do it. You just got to dive straight into what you're doing and accept that you will be who you are in that moment. And that's what I try to promote, is that kind of realistic version of what I think is a pretty interesting, strange little life.
You're referring to yourself in that?
Yeah.
No, just to clarify.
For a second I was like, does he think I'm saying he's got an interesting, strange
No, I think
life?
I would say that we both do. I'm a believer in nothing is weird, really. I think that's a fascinating word that can be thrown around nonchalantly in a negative standpoint. It's like, I try not to use love or hate because they're so powerful. Love might mean that you like something these days. Hate might mean that you don't like something, but we throw these things around so easily. And the word want is something that I've tried to change. I would like What Was That to be successful. I will work until it's successful. Jodie will help me as so much, like holding this second camera and the GoPro here to make it successful. Jodie. But if you want, I feel it's the want. Like I don't know if it just goes back to my dad as a kid saying, those that want don't get. Very English. But at the same time, there's a lot of power to that, which is that those that work might get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at the same time, you might not.
Yeah. But
at least you know that you worked for it, so just sat still expecting that to come to you.
Yeah.
I was pointing over there a minute ago, gesticulating, because I'd written down when you mentioned the moments on Instagram. And didn't someone call you Kimothy?
Yes.
That you posted 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So that's Sophie.
Steph Strings.
Steph Strings. That's it. I was going to say Sophie Sings. That's not right.
You should interview her one day. Sophie Sings is good though.
That could be her moniker or something. Sorry, Steph. I don't know who that was in the background, but that's obviously promoting the song that just got premiered like 2 hours ago on an Australian blog. TheInsider.com or something, wasn't it?
Tracks Surfing Magazine, which was actually a bit of a dream come true for me, because me and my friends, everybody has a stack of Tracks mags in their house, like it's a really... Oh,
it's like the Reader's Digest that my mum had.
Yeah.
Your Tracks.
Yes. Yeah. Right? Yeah, exactly.
So, who wants Tupperware, Jonathan? Yeah, sure. What's that?
The metaphor is a long, thin line that goes a very long way between Tracks mag and Reader's Digest, but it's the same kind of thing. There'd be a stack of them in a house. And so that was really cool. And
you wrote that article. It read like you wrote that.
I did.
I was at so-and-so in Tofino, the first time playing the barbecue. Right? So that's pretty cool. It
was really cool. It was a dream come true. And we spent hours and hours in the water in Tofino trying to get those surfing shots as well. I worked with this photographer up there, Steph Jade, and she's really cool. And the song came out in the last couple of hours.
It's a beautiful song.
Oh, thank you.
Did you? I listened to it 2 or 3 times, to be frank, right before we came here, because I didn't know it was coming until I saw it, and I was like, I'm just going to prep for saying to Jodie, I'm going to prep for this and just double check that I've got Fighter in my mind and the new EP and the covers and the covers EP that's got 2 different names.
Oh yeah, God, there's a lot going on.
Covered Post Malone, Jodie. Covered Post Malone. Jodie loves Post Malone. Even did Aladdin. Harley did. I Can Show You the World.
Yeah.
But no, to focus on this song. Was that recorded remotely? Because her vocal seems a bit more warmth. It seems like a different microphone.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. No, your ears just blew my mind then. So yes, it is.
Right.
Yeah, we when I recorded, I had Steph in mind, but she was in Europe and I hadn't even asked her.
Right.
It was an idea that was kind of, I guess, bubbling away in my head, but I hadn't put it into action yet. And I was like, I'm not going to sing in the second verse. I'm just going to play the guitar. I can always go back and sing it separately, but when I performed the song, I just left that out. And then I asked Steph if she wanted to, and she was keen. And so when she got back to Australia, I was coming here. And so she recorded it remotely, and you heard that in the recording.
Yeah, you can hear the difference. Yeah.
Wow. I'm blown away by that.
That's what I speak about with Jodie all the time. Is it used to piss off my parents so much when we would watch any TV show, and I'd be like, "That's been pre-dubbed. That's not live. This has been like that." And they were like, "How do you know this?" And that was before I went to then study music technology when I was like 15, 16, 17, 18. And it just, I don't know, I've always sonic things that fascinate me so much. And so I always just try and close my eyes and like sink into like, well, where is this coming from? Where is that? And listen to something 30, 40, 50, 60 times and try and just dissect the shit out of it.
Yeah, well, 3 times.
Has that one stopped, Harley? Oh, it's still going?
Nice.
If you need anything, we can just edit. And what do you need? Do you need a drink or anything? No? Sorry.
Just having a little break from playing the Wii. Yeah, you need a break from time to time.
Yeah,
my eyes
or
get
it could
sore.
be Harley Cam or whatever you feel like. We're very comfortable here, so you're not interrupting if you say, "Mum, I need something."
Yeah.
But not that that's his energy at all. Harley is not a prima donna. Hey, Mum, I need 12 roses and a packet of chocolate right now. I'll tell you what we all need is this floor to be the swimming pool that we set up on the patio. They set up on the patio 2 days ago.
With our feet in there?
Because I don't know. I can feel what is the formation of a pool starting under my knees on this leather couch. It feels like faux leather.
Yeah, faux leather's not nice to sit in a hot situation.
Yeah, and nothing against Capital Ballroom. Thanks for having these. Compared to the chairs that
Beautiful
used to be
couch.
here, these are great. No, anyway, so yeah, where were we going? We're going blah, 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 blah.
Sound.
Yeah.
Oh, the new single. Yeah, which is a good thing to talk about actually, because it just came out and Steph opened for me in Australia.
I was going to say, right, how do you know each other? Because she spoke there and was so wonderfully warm in saying, "Oh, it's so good to call you a mate. Got to know each other. That's not how she sounds." So yes, fill us in on that.
Yeah, so Steph started messaging me on Instagram when she was like 13 or 14, and she was this young guitarist that was really eager to learn. And I try to message back to most things on social media. I feel like it's really important to dedicate time to that. So I used to message her back and be like, "Oh yeah, this song's in this tuning," and I think even a couple of times she'd send me like a video of her playing one of my songs and be like, "It sounds amazing" and stuff. It was so cool. And then over time, I followed her and I was watching, it had come up in my news feed when she posted a video of herself or whatever playing. And then I was like, there's like 200 comments on this video. And I went to her page and she was becoming an absolute viral superstar on Instagram. People just adore her. And I began to realize why, because she was getting so good and so quick. So that would have been like 8 or 9 years ago that she first reached out.
Wow.
She's 21 now and she's just blossoming into her career. And I watched her at one show because she supported me. She has like 420,000 Instagram followers. She is just, she is going to be an absolute revolution to the sort of acoustic folk world. She's so switched on. I don't know, the next generation, they're just incredible. Steph's 21. Her emotional maturity is just amazing. It blows my mind. And I asked her if she wanted to come on tour, and she was so excited. She was blown away. She came and she toured. She was an absolute legend. Like, she just lived in the van, She lived in the van. I've got like a single bed and a double bed in my van, which is really cool. And often I'll have like a sound engineer or somebody. And I was like, I'm a 31-year-old guy. She's a 21-year-old girl. I was like, to her manager, I'm like, listen, she's welcome to, for sure, if that's what she wants to do. And, anything I can do to make sure that she feels comfortable. But she was like, I don't care, whatever. I'm going to sleep there. Like, I'll sleep on a couch. And she just came on the tour and she just became like one of my best friends. We joke now because we're like, when we hang out, it's like 2 dogs on a walk. Like, we're just so excited and we're so silly with each other. And she's just become one of my best friends, and I really look up to her as an artist. On one of the shows on the tour, I stood side of stage and I watched the death of my generation musical folk singer-songwriters, because Steph is the next generation, and it was beautiful to see. I just thought, that is phenomenal. That is going to start a complete movement, especially I think for female guitarists. There's not a lot of acoustic female guitarists doing things and getting given a platform for it. And she is just wiping the floor with all of us. She's such an incredible guitarist. So I'm really honoured to have her on the song. And I asked her if she wanted to do it, and she was really excited. And so she sings the second verse, and she adds some guitar bits in the bridge. And yeah, it's the first time I've ever had a duet style release.
Yeah, it is.
And it's just awesome. We're both so excited. We're both so thrilled. And I just feel really lucky that she was a fan of my music, and I'm now a fan of her music. And that's such a beautiful full circle situation. Yeah.
And that's something that Jodie and I speak about so much as well. Is, I mean, it's good that you're confirming that this seems to be happening, but just hoping that next generation below. I mean, I'm 35 now. I thought we were around the same age, but I'm not too worried about being 35.
Do your 30s get better and better?
Yes, because I met Jodie and Harley.
Yeah.
Yes.
You figure stuff out.
I would say, and especially my last 2 years of stepping out of commercial radio and just launching into this project of what was at radio. And as I said to you before, like stacking produce to make sure that sort of the ends meet around the corner. I'd say like I've grown up more in the last 2 years than I did maybe the last 5 or 6. And I thought I had grown tremendously the last 5 or 6.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
I think you're the happiest I've ever seen you.
Oh, thank you. See?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. It's nice that transmits.
Yeah.
But it's also just so amazing that there's proof in the pudding looking at Jodie that there's the 21-year-old, right? That is, and we say that to Harley all the time, like, you know, Harley's 8 years old, and we're really hoping, and it seems that this generation is just so much more connected.
Yeah, I think
like I said to you before we started, don't worry necessarily about swear words, because Harley's aware of what language is, and he chooses not to use things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas my sister, who won't watch this for fear of us swearing to my godson and goddaughter, it doesn't come from that ilk. It's a bit more conservative,
totally.
And oh gosh, when the kids probably know it all already, and because they're multilingual, they probably know it in multiple languages that she doesn't even bloody know. And you'll find out soon. But that's amazing that you can that arose from just messaging and saying, hey, what are the chord sequence? How do I learn your song? And then the excitement that seemed honest and real, and being like, you want me to open for you when she has grown to 420,000 followers. Is that actually right, or just akin to 420 steps that I like to talk about that we've done before? I don't know. Either way, it is what it is.
No, it's straight up legit, and she's taking her first steps into live performance and stuff. So I think it made sense for her to come and open that to her, because she's learning how to be a touring artist, how to get on stage, how to sell out her own shows. I've got to a point in my career where I do have a lot to offer a younger artist.
I agree.
It's like, I don't know when it happened, but all of a sudden I was like, I'm not the young little, kind of like.
Do Australians say whippersnapper very often?
Whippersnapper, yeah.
Is that a thing? I don't know.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not anymore. And I have figured things out through many failures. Which is what we all do as we get older, and Steph's gonna have to make all her own failures. Life is about failing realistically. That's what we're meant to do, is fail and fail and fail and fail, and every time we fail, we get back up and we try things in a new way. But it was nice to be able to chat at length with Steph about things, and think that she'll probably be able to get to some more powerful, profound failures much quicker through our chats and through what I've learned and been able to kind of, say, and it was cool on that level, because I just, as I say, I look at the next generation of singer-songwriters, and I just think they're so emotionally aware. When I was 19, I was getting wasted on tour. I was partying like there was no tomorrow. I was, this younger generation, they're meditating. And they
they've got a diffuser in the van.
I know.
What the fuck?
They're really switched on. Steph's advice sometimes is sagely, and I'm just like, wow. When I was 21, I was like, my
beer's on sale.
Yeah, my sound guy was like carrying me, cheeseburger in hand, back to the hotel room. Right. So it gives me a lot of hope. I'm really excited to watch the next bunch come up and just really, really take everything to a complete new level.
It's really exciting. Let's do a quick time check. Is your phone close, just so we don't mess up sound check or anything?
Yeah, it's true.
It feels like it could be 10 to 6.
Yeah,
5 to 6.
6. Yeah.
Hey, not a bad judge of time.
Pretty good.
Yeah, we've been talking for 33 minutes. Let's circle back round. And you were saying earlier, alluding to that you wanted to have a sort of similar Volkswagen van here based.
Yeah.
So where are you with that? Because I'm surely you've got the friends that you could. How would you do that? Yeah, I'll let you speak to that before I start guessing everything when I asked you a question to get the answers for what I asked. Yeah.
Well, right now I'm just trying to raise the funds, and basically, I think I'll just lend it to a friend while I'm not here, and find the right carpenters that are interested in doing the job, and get something not too big, not too small. And build a similar stage with a similar solar-powered PA system, and come over every summer and play, the festivals that will have me, the bigger shows that will have me, but then fill it in with all of the stuff that I've realised that I really love, which is on somebody's property to 40 or 50 people, and by a river somewhere, or down in a national park for a local tourism board or something, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's good money. That's a good one. That's a good one. Get those city checks.
Yeah, they got a couple of dollars.
That might buy the van.
It might.
Dear City of Victoria, Kim Churchill.
Yeah.
Book him.
Yeah.
Just my brain's now thinking of all the different things you could do.
I know. Yeah.
But I looked at Jodie because I was thinking about it would be so cool when you're next back to do a What Was That radio show.
Yes, absolutely.
To the 50 supporters that we have right now.
I would love to.
And we know the spot we could go down to where is it? Where the crabs and stuff that we've been trying to find lately? The Todd Inlet? Yeah, we could go down a beautiful spot there.
Yeah. It's all possible, and that's what I love about this, the approach that I've realized, and reaching my 30s. I turn 32 in a couple of months. What my 30s have been to me is this opportunity to really become more and more myself. And now I'm realizing, that's how I love to live. I don't think, if I was playing to 5,000 people a night, I think I would be overwhelmed. The way that I would like to interact with people, and the way that I like to connect with the people that like my music, I want to have this really rich, sort of beautiful time with people that like my music. And if there's 5,000 people, I lose that. I feel like I couldn't take it on. I would rather it be small stuff. So it's been so exciting to realize that's what I love, and to play these small shows and be existing in all of these natural environments. For me, if my music is on the side of a camper van under some beautiful trees with a bunch of people sitting in the grass, that is the sweet spot.
And that's what blew me away when I first saw you over a decade ago, is that I've been to a lot of shows. I've been very lucky to go to a lot of shows. And there's a lot of people that demand your attention, and they will say to you from the front of the stage, you guys need to shut the fuck up. I'm here. Do you realize I'm here? Whereas your energy has always been, well, there's been none of that at all. But you're a rare performer who tells more stories than has songs.
I know. It's crazy.
But people don't. You pin drop. People allow that space for you to share because they also know that the story is leading into. I mean, but the thing is, your music is so beautiful and it's so storytelling anyway. For me, I love the extra context. So when we get that extra story, it's like a shot before we get to the actual. Well, for those that might drink, it's like a shot of adrenaline if you don't drink and you need it to survive before you then dive into this beautiful landscape story that you put together within multiple instruments at the same time as you perform. So it's cool. Really special that you've got that innate just connection with people where they're like, no, I want to hear what this guy's got to say. Because there's so many people that demand it. As soon as you do that, you've lost it.
It'll never work. That puts ice in the room, and you never want to do that. There are times where I have to get people to be quiet for sure, but it's got to be done in a humorous way. The best example, I'm telling you this, but one of the best examples I've ever heard of was you, and it was John and Sierra O.C. Elliott.
Oh my God!
We're talking about their opening gig. Do you know what I'm about to say? And you came out and you said something along the lines of I'm gonna open up my jacket, and everybody, I want you to put all of your talking into my jacket. And everybody went la 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 and yelled and screamed. You took it all in your jacket and you caught it all and ran off stage. That is genius, and that really resonated with me because that's how you get people. Oh man,
that is a trip down memory lane. That is a long time ago.
Yeah, that I wasn't even there. I just heard about it.
Yeah, I did it 2 or 3 times because the usual thing, that was something that I always loved so much about being in commercial radio. When you get to go out and present these bands at festivals or at shows, that's something where, again, your energy needs to be right. I'm not a big fan of people that come out and scream like, you owe me, let's get excited. I would always focus on how can I get the energy best fit for this performer. And it's not about me coming out and, I'm the guy from the radio. And like I've seen people, some colleagues who I love very dearly, that just scream like, let's go. Like, I've never been about that.
Yeah,
it's been
the radio voice.
And with O.C. Elliott, I don't know if it was in this venue, because it was so loud. And, you know, John and Sierra are such beautiful, chilled, gentle souls. And yeah, I think I definitely 2 or 3 times said like, put it in this jacket. Or if it was at the Alex Gordon Hall, I don't know where it was. Or the Royal Theatre, but I know that was definitely probably 7 or 8 years ago at this point.
But that's the way you can't create ice, you got to break it. And you know, whenever I have a crack at somebody for talking, it'll be done in a humorous way. And if I am actually emotionally hurt by people's talking, I can't have a go at them, because that's when you get what you're describing, which is
spiteful energy.
Yeah, when somebody's really hurt. If I'm not hurt, and I'm not emotionally upset about the talking, but I know that part of my job is because now I do an unplugged part of my set, which is like completely acoustic. And so I need silence, and I need to make people understand that it's a part of what has to happen for things to work. I find being vulnerable and putting yourself in this situation where people want to care for you and your art is the best way to do it. But you know, I can still have a real good crack at people for talking, but it's got to be done humorously. And it's the kind of thing where, you know, you sort of laugh about it with them after, and you're like, don't hate the player, hate the game. You know, you came to my you bought a ticket to my show, and this is my show. It's about me.
No, it's fair enough. I could hear Peter getting things going through the PA. It feels like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I like that. It's... Well, when I was in radio, I knew what 10, 15, 30 and 60 seconds felt like. And then what 120 seconds felt like. But since I've gone more just me and I make my own rules now, and we all know that I love to talk the hind legs of a donkey. Sometimes what I think is that a 2-minute thought? And then I look back and go, I've been talking for 9 minutes.
I'm the same.
And I'm looking at this artist on Zoom being like, is this about you or me? Like some of them, especially when I first quit, and some of them I feel bad, and I still feel bad, that I almost had conversations as like a counselling session. For like, I'm doing this now, and I used to do this, and I feel, and I've apologised to those 2 or 3 interviewees where I was like, I feel like I just unloaded on you for 15 minutes and then was like, look, tell me about yourself. But I also feel that it's paramount in order to get these kind of moments and these chats that we've had over the last 10 decades. They wouldn't happen if we didn't know about the inner workings of our minds and how we operate. Because then you wouldn't necessarily feel compelled to share it.
And if we weren't both opening up vulnerabilities and saying, this is where I'm at, you know, it's an important part of a friendship. And when we get to do things like this together, it helps it all be fun and interesting and compelling. Yeah, I mean, 50 minutes, 42 minutes has flown by. Yes, I'm so glad we did it. Yeah, I'm glad we did too. Thanks for, I got a bit worried earlier that there wasn't time, so I appreciate it. Nah, we've done it. Peter's doing the 2 1s. Yeah. Oh, the 1-2 check now. So, no, just thank you so much. This has been sweet. You're welcome, John. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye, Wuzzers and Kim Churchill lovers and anyone that watches this. We appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Nah. He's just such a flipping sweetheart, isn't he? That was a conversation with Kim Churchill. A massive thank you to him. A massive thank you to my partner Jodie and her son Harley for helping out with the camera work and the audio and getting it all a crack-a-lacking for the conversation. And if you want to dive into more conversations with, if you want to discover true modern rock, if you want to see how I split all my earnings 50-50 to support independent musicians like Kim all across the planet that galvanized my soul and then further the community that support me as well, just dive into whatwasthatradio.com. Simple as that. Whatever you're doing the rest of your day, and as always, please look after yourself. And I hope there's some fun and smiles involved in it too, because we've got to cherish that positive. For now, cheerio.